Hi, everyone. This is Jonathan April. Thank you for joining us today. Really excited to have you all here. We will be getting started in just a minute. I want to give people time to arrive. When you do arrive, feel free to use the chat. Let us know who you are, what organization or school you are from, and we'll get started in just a minute. Thanks for being here. Again, we'll get started in a couple seconds. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Thank you. And if you have questions, you can definitely use the chat. Allison from National Louis is in the chat to answer those questions. And there's also an ask a question box at the bottom of your screen that we'll use at the end. So thanks for everybody for being here. Okay. Hi, Greenlight community. I am Jonathan April. I am the general manager of College Greenlight. This is my 10th year with College Greenlight. Thank you all for being part of our community, supporting first-generation students on their way to and through college. I am really excited about today's event. College Greenlight's hometown is Chicago, and we're excited to bring you all a conversation with National Louis University, one of our favorite hometown institutions. Since its founding in 1886, NLU has played a historic role in the education sector. In fact, my mother got her master's degree many moons ago from the National College of Education, her predecessor. And I love today's topic of passing the baton. Too often, each of us in education is siloed. And so I'm thrilled that NLU will be talking about collaboration, bringing us all together. We have an hour blocked off for today's event, including lots of time to answer your questions. Don't be shy. Again, ask the questions in the ask a question box or you can do in the chat. Allison, again, from National Louis, is in the chat answering questions. And now to today's presentation. I'm going to pass it over to my friend Sarah to lead things off.
Thank you, Jonathan, for that wonderful introduction. And yes, we just realized that your mother is an alum, and we're so excited to hear about that and potentially get to know her story as well. So thank you for that lovely introduction. And as Jonathan mentioned, my name is Sarah Fatani. I'm the Director of Enrollment and Strategic Growth here at National Louis University for our undergraduate college. And I have the extreme privilege of leading a team of really dedicated professionals who are vested in walking students along their journey of the enrollment pipeline to find themselves enrolled here at NLU. So we're really excited about today's conversation, but we also want to take this moment to thank you guys for joining and taking part of your day to spend with us. As Jonathan mentioned, we do have an hour blocked. We're going to dedicate about 25-30 minutes to present and really leave a lot of time for you to ask questions and get some of your wonderings responded to. So we appreciate you taking the time. We understand the pressures that this moment is putting on all of us and the fatigue that we're all experiencing. And so we hope to make this a really productive 1 hour session for you. So please do ask questions along the way. As Jonathan mentioned, Allison is there and she can help answer those questions right away or ping us later to answer them live as we get through our presentation. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I just want to say I'm excited that I actually unmuted before I started talking. I know we've all done it. It's not just me. My name is Abiodun Durojaye. I am the Executive Director of Career Bridge, Career Services and Placement at National Louis. I have been here shy of 8 months, but super excited. The work that is happening here is really, really great and really transformational. So excited to be with you today, and I will pass it off to Aurora.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aurora Flores Garcia. I'm the Director of Student Success at National Louis University. I've been here, it's going to be 5 years in June, so really at the start of this program, the beginning of it. It's really exciting. And just a little bit about my role is that success coaching is what you might know traditionally as advising at another university. So I oversee the team that works with our students directly on their academic advising and holistic coaching, which we'll go into in the presentation as well. And I'll pass it over to Pauline.
Thanks, Aurora. My name is Pauline Degrazia. I'm Director of Undergraduate Programming at our Wheeling campus in the suburbs. I've been with National Louis for 11 years, and it's really amazing to see how National Louis has grown and responded to the needs of undergraduate students and really expanded and formed an undergraduate college. And I'm really excited to be leading the efforts of enrollment and retention of our first-time freshmen at our Wheeling campus. So really excited to be with you all today.
Thank you, ladies. So Pauline, we'll start with you. And for our audience members who may not be familiar with NLU, can you give us a little bit of a background?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Jonathan mentioned, National Louis has a long history here in the Chicagoland area, actually 135 years. And we have actually taken on a new approach to undergraduate education and have set really ambitious goals for ourselves of becoming a local and national leader in driving equity in bachelor's degree attainment and employment. We believe that higher education has a responsibility to ensure that first generation and students from historically marginalized communities, that is Black, Latinx, and low income communities, have access to a high quality post-secondary experience that leads to positive career and life outcomes. As you can see by our student demographics detailed on this slide, non-tradition is the tradition at NLU.
Thanks, Pauline. It absolutely is. Non-tradition is absolutely the tradition here at NLU. So let's talk a little bit more about this analogy of the relay race and the baton. Can you help unpack that for us?
Yes, absolutely. As we all know, a relay race is a team effort to reach the finish line while carefully supporting and passing the baton throughout the race. So in our analogy, we see the runners in the race as the people and the institutions that carry the baton along the way. And the baton itself is the student with their hopes and their dreams for themselves, their families, and communities. We know that counselors have supported their student and their dreams, in other words, the baton, throughout their years in high school, including initiating or expanding their college-bound identity. We know that you, the counselors, want to feel confident that the next runner who takes the baton will care for and support it with the same passion that you did. At NLU, we see our collaboration with high school counselors and college access professionals as teammates in this relay race, running together to support the student to the finish line. As we enter the race alongside you, our role is to further scaffold that college-bound identity development and carry them into the post-secondary experience.
I love it. So in this analogy, the race really begins with that student moving through high school, from college, passing that baton, if you will. Can you tell us a little bit more about how NLU helps with this transition through the enrollment process? Maybe spending a little bit time too talking about how we work with students at the high school level and over the summer to find them successfully enrolled in day one.
Yes, absolutely. So I mentioned our role in identity development, and our enrollment team is really here to support that identity development of the student. To do this, we host a robust set of experiences for prospective students, such as mini classroom sessions, conversation with current NLU students, major months. All of these events are infused with near-peer representation. Our outreach and enrollment specialists are FAFSA certified and also trained in motivational interviewing to really form authentic relationships with students and to meet them wherever they are in that process and encourage them along the way in this race. Over the summer, as you mentioned, Sarah, we work with students and all of their adult influencers, counselors, parents, whoever that might be, as well as our student success coaches, who is the new running mate in this race. And we create stitch-in opportunities and experiences to help students form a connection to the college. In addition, we spend a lot of time internally with our coaches and our student finance team to ensure that students are moving through all of those summer milestone completions that we want them to achieve on the race here, the goal towards enrolling at NLU. My team member, Aurora, can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Pauline. So one of the things that we do really early on in that enrollment process is we actually require students to have a one-on-one appointment with their coach before they even enroll in the university. We've had this since the beginning, and part of what that one-on-one session is getting to know each other, understanding our context, where are they coming from, what are some of their personal goals, what are some of their career goals. We also want to know about their support system. What does that look like? What do their communities look like? These one-on-one meetings before starting at NLU that happen over the summer are super, super critical in developing a relationship of trust between the student and the institution and their coach.
Yeah, I just, I think, thank you both for that elaboration and helping to bring that experience to life. And I did want to just call out and reiterate just the work that we're trying to do in the enrollment space of helping to develop that identity, especially for our first gen students who often need that near peer representation and need those scaffolded experiences to really try on those different identities and really understand how that college experience and see themselves as a college student and how that really fits for them. So, those micro opportunities that we offer, like major months, come learn about your major, come to NLU and sit in a mini classroom experience, to really try that on becomes so critical along the enrollment pipeline. And we really do that in partnership with you, our audience, right? Our counselors, our community members who are giving us that feedback and telling us what exactly our students need. What do your students need? What do we need to do as a community to support them? So Aurora, as your department becomes a little bit more engaged in this process over the summer, can you elaborate more on your role? Because this is where you're sort of your team is creating that intentional relationship and building that rapport, and that relationship is really starting with their advisor, their success coach at NLU. And then how do you carry them forward, working through retention and persistence, et cetera?
Yeah, for sure. So that one-on-one that I just mentioned that we have over the summer, those will continue the entire time the student is at NLU. So they will be meeting with their coach around quarterly, so like 3 times at minimum a year. And those meetings are always going to be holistic in nature. We're going to be asking them about their academic degree plans to ensure that they're staying on track academically. But we're also going to be checking in on, like, what was their transition like? How do they feel now that they're transitioning into college and through college as well? So we're really doing a holistic check. We're also regularly collecting feedback from students as a coaching team. We actually just recently collected a bunch of feedback in this past quarter. And one of the quotes we got from a student was, "My coach is really easy to talk to and really knows how to make a student feel welcome." And a lot of the feedback was around this line of thinking. And we really just love this, because what we're trying to create here is a developmental relationship between the student and their coach that really focuses on what they need to succeed and centers the student in the picture. And we also are trying to empower them to grow into their professional and personal goals at NLU.
I love that, and I'll just toggle quickly to the quotes that were here. I just had it on a different slide, but here are some of the quotes that Aurora alluded to, and yeah, it is really great. And again, just being in the enrollment space, we have students who work on our enrollment team and do student panels, and by far, hands down, every time you ask them about their favorite part about NLU, they'll always talk about their coach and their faculty members. So that's really awesome, and it speaks to the depth of that relationship. So Aurora, so yes, just confirming, right? It's the same advisor throughout their 4-year experience?
Yes, it is. And so the student is assigned to their coach based on their major that they come in. And that way, that allows the coach to, one, maintain a relationship with the student for the 4 years, but also that coach becomes a specialist in that major. And that therefore can be talking to the student about opportunities, about career options, even just minor options in that major, to really solidify that planning and relationship.
Yeah. And we've iterated a little bit on that and tweaked it, and this is kind of where we are right now. Can you talk a little bit, staying with this, the supports to succeed for a student, kind of going around this graphic, if you will? Can you speak to the academic model and the academic supports?
Yeah, absolutely. The theme of the webinar today is this idea of passing the baton. And I think one of the things that makes NLU so unique is that we're constantly collaborating. And so the academic team, so our faculty, the professors that work with our students, our learning support team, so who you would normally consider to be like a tutor, those people are actually meeting with coaches really regularly in what we call SSEs, student success collaboratives. It's a mouthful of S's there. But our SSE model essentially means that a coach will be meeting regularly throughout the term with the faculty that are actually teaching their students. And this is face-to-face meetings, well, right now, Zoom-to-Zoom meetings, that we are actually connecting on how those students are doing. Are we seeing any patterns in their behavior? Are we seeing them maybe drop off? Is someone picking up and doing much better? We want to give them a high five. And this allows us to come up with strategies and to share best practices with each other on how to maybe re-engage a student who we see losing. And it's very proactive in nature. And we continue to do that the entire 4 years that the student is with us. We have those meetings regularly every quarter that they're enrolled.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those aspects that we talk to counselors about. And I remember the enrollment team when they started talking to students about this. One thing that we haven't talked about so far in this webinar is our students attend classes 2 days a week. And that really gives them a consistent and dependable schedule so that they can take care of their life needs outside of those 2 days, whether it's engaging in study tables, coming to meet their professors, engaging in internships, or we just know that our students have complex lives and they may have other familial responsibilities to take care of. But that 2-day-a-week model of attendance really then allows their coaches to meet with their instructional team in that SSC model that you're speaking of, and gives us the back end time we need as well to have that intentionality behind the academic supports that we're providing.
Yep. For sure. And there's another really cool aspect about our model, which sometimes we forget to advertise. We were just in a presentation a week ago and counselors were like, why didn't you start with this? So I want to make sure I say it. We don't have remedial coursework at NLU, and we don't even have placement exams. So our students are actually placed into college level courses the first day that they get into NLU. And what we do is we also are realistic and we understand that students come in at different levels and may need that additional support. So we actually embed that in one of their classes. So our learning support specialists, the people who you would maybe traditionally know as tutors, we have writing ones and we have reading ones and we have math ones. And we actually embed them in their courses. So you have a faculty member teaching you and walking you through, helping you think through the content from your writing English class or your math class. And then you also have a specialist in that room with you that's helping you and giving you more one-on-one support. So you're not seeing tutoring as something that lives outside of your experience, your academic experience. It's something that you're already embedded into your work. And I mean, who doesn't want to be earning college credit right away or taking classes that aren't actually getting them to a degree? Additionally, the coaches, we know all the learning specialists really well. We work in tandem all the time with them. And we run something called study tables, which is another collaborative opportunity where we connect with faculty, we connect with the learning support team, and we run these study table spaces, which are essentially an open room where you can drop in and just check in with your coach, check in with your professor. A lot of our faculty will have their office hours during study tables, or specialists will hang out there and meet with you if you need to go over an assignment. During the pandemic, we had to make it virtual. So we actually moved our entire study tables to be a virtual drop-in environment with different Zoom rooms by categories and themes. And because they went so well, and we actually got so many students to show up that way because they didn't have to commute to campus, we're going to continue those. So in the fall, when we come back, we're going to actually be doing in-person and virtual study tables, which will be really cool.
That's awesome. So we've talked a lot about the academic supports. We've talked about sort of the way that we collaborate on the back end in service of our students. But we also know that we have to take care of sort of Maslow's hierarchy of needs so that students can really engage. So can you speak a little bit about the wraparound holistic supports?
Yeah, just tons. I know that if anyone here is familiar with NLU, we've always really promoted the level of wraparound supports that we offer. Life happens, and most students, regardless of where you're coming from, will at some point encounter a personal or financial barrier that pulls your attention away from your academic goals. And so what we do is we try to create an intensive system of referral where the coach knows who the referral is, can give you a personal connection, will ensure that there's a follow-up as well. to essentially our Thrive Center. Our Thrive Center includes emergency funding, which is huge right now with the pandemic, access to telehealth if you don't have access to a doctor, or mental health support, counseling, in-house mental health support, as well as partner mental health support. And we also address issues of food insecurity, housing insecurity. We have an on-campus food pantry that students can have access to as well. Just a robust amount of wraparound supports for anyone. And then we also have a scholarship that might not necessarily impact your incoming students right now, but if you have any current students at NLU, we have a last dollar retention scholarship. So if you are within a year of graduating and you essentially have a high balance that is preventing you from registering for the next term, we will actually go see if you're eligible and award you a scholarship with a very, very minimal application to essentially keep you so that you can graduate. And not a lot of colleges are doing that. And we launched it about almost a year ago now, and we've awarded hundreds of scholarships to students and been able to retain them, because you never know when a small balance will just get you off track and you won't graduate. And so we really want to make sure that we're showing that investment to the students.
Yeah, it's the little things, right? It's all the things that are happening around our students and in our lives that have such great impacts, that we're really here at NLU trying to also address, in addition to the academics, and providing that affordable model, but really helping our students graduate with little to no debt on time. It really does take that village of wraparound holistic support. So thank you. I know, Aurora, you mentioned a number of different wraparound supports that we offer. So again, I know it went really quickly to our audience members, but if you have questions or you're like, I think I heard this, just please go ahead and drop that into chat. And if Allison doesn't have the answer immediately, she'll loop back with us and we'll get that responded to as soon as we finish up the formal part of the presentation. So Aurora, just speaking to this next slide that's on, that I jumped the gun on a little bit, we have several new initiatives that are happening in order to provide, again, that holistic support and retain our students. Can you speak to these?
Yeah, we have a few new initiatives we just want to call out. There's tons, by the way, but I'm only going to call out a couple here, because if you have been to one of our webinars or sessions, some of these are actually brand new. So we want to make sure you know about them. And they're all very student-run and student-centered. We have Eagle Brotherhood, which is our male initiative for male-identifying students. And then we have the equivalent, which is built by women on our Wheeling campus, and then Exuberance on our Chicago campus. We're actually launching a new multicultural center this year, and we just launched a first-generation college student honor society. All of these are really focused on community building, on helping these students work through topics relevant to that population, and then connecting with resources at the university. And they're also starting to develop just some incredible leaders on campus that are becoming strong advocates for these programs and organizations that we're really excited about.
Yeah, I love that. It's really great, even as a staff member, to walk around our campus year after year and see the growth and development of our students as they go from their freshman year, they leave for the summer, they come back, and they've just seated themselves more firmly into their college going identity, but to also see them develop as young professionals is always so great. So speaking of developing into young professionals, Aurora, your team works very much hand in hand also with the Career Bridge team. And can you tell us a little bit more and introduce that for us, of how you work with Career Bridge intentionally for that scaffolded development of a student's professional identity?
For sure. So the same way that we work with enrollment really closely over the summer, and then with faculty and learning support, we're also doing that with Career Bridge. Career Bridge is meeting with us regularly from year one. We actually just had an amazing collaborative meeting between our teams this morning, where we were level setting on our practices, our norms, what we believe in about students, and how we engage in our practice in that way. Additionally, in the students' first year, they're going to attend an event called Major Experience Day. And that's a huge collaborative event between Career Bridge, the success coaching team, and then the faculty that oversee the majors that we offer. So the students are incoming freshmen. They get to walk in and experience what it's like to be in that major, what professionals, we invite professionals from the field for that major, what skills are they going to learn? What internship opportunities are there? And we're doing that together. So the students are really seeing that this is a partnership between these three departments, and they're not seeing us as siloed individuals. And it's really just an amazing event. We always get really great turnout and amazing feedback from our students. And then throughout our time as well, throughout the students' time, the same way that we meet with SSEs, we also start to do that as well with the career team in other ways. And there's a whole robust career model that Abiodun will like jump into and elaborate that's really working in tandem together.
Awesome. Thanks, Aurora. Again, I think, Aurora, you hit it on the head with just the support and how students come to us, right, already with their stories. So our department, our job is to really help students figure out, how am I going to narrate this story, right? How am I going to take these transferable skills and let the employers know that I can do the job? What was interesting was a recent article in the Wall Street Journal reported that 78% of undergraduate students did not seek out support from career services. 78%. Like, that is huge. Think about your experiences in college. Did you seek out your career development team? Did you ask these questions? So what we've decided to do then is we said, okay, that's a large number. So we're going to create intentional systems, right? And we're going to embed and literally pluck career into the curriculum. So at NLU, again, we knew that we needed to bring career services to students as opposed to waiting for students to come to us.
I love that because it is super unique. And I know when we were practicing earlier and you quoted the statistic, you know, we were talking and I remember even as an undergrad, I didn't really start thinking about it. Like, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a psychologist, but I had taken 0 steps until my senior year towards finding out about graduate school or internships and things of that nature. And so I love the intentionality of this model and how we are acknowledging and taking that feedback, taking those data points and pushing in with curriculum. So, you know, can we dive into this 4-year experience a little bit more?
Absolutely, absolutely. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is our path, right? The first year is our exploration year. We want students to come in and get lost in exploration, right? Like, figure it out, mess up, ask questions, know what you want to do, don't know what you want to do, right? So we have intentionally created the first year where students do an assessment called Focus to Career, right? So it looks at their skills, their knowledge, their values, all these things, their personality, and starts to map out different career paths that they could possibly go on, right? We meet with them, my team meets with them in freshman year, again, introduction, so many different career paths. Aurora mentioned it earlier, our major experience day that we do, we bring in employers, we have employers talk to students in hopes that by the end of that year, they can finalize their major, right? They could say, okay, I've been lost in exploration. Now I think I got it. After talking to this many employers, now I think I got it. So that's the first year. Absolutely.
And, you know, I'll just kind of add a little bit more color to this, just from the enrollment perspective too, kind of thinking about how that baton moves forward is, you know, we really do in enrollment work with our success coaches, our faculty, Career Bridge. We're always listening to what they're saying, what the experience of our students are, what they're seeing as sort of learnings that we can take into the enrollment space. So this year, for example, we did create this opportunity called Major Months so that we can help seniors in high school start to explore that, explore their major, get to learn a little bit more, learn about different majors. So as they're going into their freshman year, they're getting a little bit of that jump start going, and it's helping with some of the exploration and really diving right into that, right? And learning more with intentionality and just having fun with it. Yes. If we can start it earlier, then you can really just have fun with it and not feel the pressure of having to make a decision.
Absolutely. I think that you're right. That first year and letting students just be who they are, be allowed to make the mistakes, ask the questions, meet with employers, hear what they want, what employers are looking for. I think you're absolutely right, Sarah. So after they've done all that, right, they come into their second year, our preparation year. So, okay, now you have an idea. Let's begin preparing your documents, right? What should a resume look like if you want to go into computer science or business or psychology or whatever? What does the resume look like, right? How do I introduce myself to these folks, right? What does the industry want? What does, so we begin to really customize the resume, the mock interview, the LinkedIn, right? Because that's the way to go now. Right. So we begin to customize all of these things and tailor it to what students really want to do.
Yeah, it's so important.
It really is. I think about my experiences as a Nigerian immigrant coming into this country, trying to navigate that world, trying to navigate education. To your point, I didn't get this. I couldn't tell you what my career department looks like. So I'm very happy that we have a team dedicated to our students to walk them through. And in the third year, right, they've been lost in exploration. They've started to prepare. Now we practice, right? Practice. I always tell folks, I tell my kids, practice doesn't make perfect because nothing is perfect. Practice makes permanent. Right. These are the things that you'll continue to do. So if we practice the way, our elevator pitch, it's going to become permanent and second nature. So we start to practice what a resume in the field looks like. We start to practice how to submit internship applications, how to network, how to do all these things. And another huge component in the junior year is something we called a CAP, a career action plan, where we sit with all juniors and we say, what is your short-term goal and what is your long-term goal? Right? Let's talk about it. And then we use that CAP in senior year, their launch year, to begin to assess, have you done what you said you would do in short term, 6 to 12 months? Have you joined a club so that you can put it on your resume? Have you volunteered? Have you done things like that? So in the launch year, they begin to finalize their resume, right? They begin to, internship is huge for us at NLU.
And it's required, right? It's required.
It is. Internship is required for our students as part of their educational and professional journeys, right? It plays an important role in ensuring students secure that first job experience. So for us, if a student, right, if even coming in junior year, if you have at least 90 hours, you can absolutely complete an internship. We hope that they complete more than one internship so that students can see what the world of work looks like. And they can put this on their resume, right? With the hope that by the time you get to launch year, you either launch into graduate school or you launch into a career that is sustainable, because that is important, right? What is the return of investment? We want to make sure that students find a job, a career, because we all know a job is just over broke, but students find a career in which they did need a degree for it, right? They can make a decent living. They can do all these things. They can change their family. They can change their generation. So that for me is something I don't take lightly. I'm constantly, Sarah, I'm constantly measuring my team and success. And how do we do this? How many students have we found internship? Things like that.
And, Abiodun, to that point, and I do know you because even sitting in enrollment and you being the executive director of CareerBridge, we work hand in hand as well. And we're always talking about how we, both our departments can work closely together so that when you as an audience see this 4-year arc for a student, we really are always thinking about how can we create micro opportunities along the path so students really get to try on, practice those skill sets and own them. And earlier in our practice, we also talked about in one of our practice sessions, we were talking about naming skills you already have, right?
Yes.
So some of these things we don't realize are work professional skills. I know how to negotiate because I worked with my little sister to get my TV time.
Yes, it's huge. It's huge. Like, right, our job is how do we help students tell the story, right? Like how do you say that I come from, maybe it's a family where there's multiple siblings and I'm constantly negotiating, like, I want to go out, I need phone time, how do you do that? And now let's translate that into the work of world. I told you earlier, Sarah, like, we don't call them soft skills anymore because there ain't nothing soft about it. We call them essential skills, right? These are what employers come to us and are saying, we want students to have negotiation skills. We want them to be able to work with a diverse team. DEI is huge now. So we are constantly taking that feedback and plucking it back into the work we do with our students.
So I love that. And we're at 35 minutes about right now. So I'm going to wrap us up on that point, on that note of constantly taking feedback in your space and all of our spaces to iterate on our model. So Aurora, I'm going to throw this one over to you of talking a little bit about that iteration, right? We're now in our 6th year of the undergraduate college. What is iteration and what has continuous improvement look like for you?
Yeah, oh my gosh. So we have like a running joke at NLU that we're like constantly innovating, and like and we use the word innovation in all of our marketing, but it's ridiculous. Like, it really is seeped into our culture in so many ways. And part of innovation is not just changing things for the sake of changing things, but collecting feedback directly from students and from the experts and applying that feedback and making changes to our model, to our policy that are based on that. One of the ways in which we do that, we collect student surveys multiple times a year. The university does one, and then we do some as the undergraduate college. We also run focus groups every single year where we get feedback on all the aspects of on our model, on Career Bridge, on coaching, on the faculty relationship, all of that. We also have an advisory council that meets with our vice president every month and gives her direct feedback on how things are going and what's not going well. Just this past fall, we actually did an entire DEI, like Abiodun said, DEI is what we need to be talking about constantly. We should have been talking about it years ago, but we're definitely talking about it now. And we did a deep dive of data where we actually just looked at our academic trends and looked at key demographics, broke it out and saw where are we not serving students? What do we need to be changing to improve that? So I think it's just in so many ways in our practice embedded in who we are. And it's just a part of our culture at NLU, so much that it's kind of sometimes a joke how innovative we actually are.
It's like as soon as we write the documentation for one thing, we're like, oh, no, there's the 2.0 or 3.0 that needs to happen now. So yeah, absolutely agree with that. Thank you. Pauline, I'm going to kick this next one over to you just for audience members who are looking to partner, really think about, is this a good fit for my student? What are some of the custom opportunities that we can create and that they can look forward to asking us for engagement on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as we've mentioned throughout this presentation, we meet students wherever they are in the college process. So whether you have students who are considering attending NLU, or maybe you have students who are just totally uncertain about their college plans, or they're feeling really burned out now and they need a little bit of motivation, we feel that we are here to help you. We've taken all of our events and things that we've done for students on campus and moved them into the virtual world. So we've done things like a virtual field trip to campus. We can run an on-site admissions, which is typically held at a high school, but can be done virtually. Sessions on understanding award letters, student panels with current students or first-gen students, assistance with scholarships, especially NLU's new scholarships for first-time freshmen. So we're here to help and support your students in any way that we can. So we ask you to just go ahead and reach out if that's something that is of interest to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Pauline. And as I'm asked Jonathan to maybe come back online and help us with some of the questions, if you could just shout those out for us, that would be wonderful. I'll just remind our audience that we still are accepting applications for fall 2021. And so as Pauline mentioned, as you think about the students and the families and communities you're serving, what are their needs? What are additional information that you would like from us? Let's chat, let's talk, let's schedule some time together, as well as if there's opportunities for us to come out, we're more than happy to come out into the community virtually and meet with your students and their families and help them with their college going process. So yes, Jonathan.
What a great presentation. Yeah, really fun to watch. The presentation was called Passing the Baton. It was amazing to see how deeply connected all of you are and how collaborative you are. We work with lots of different colleges, and we'll often hear about disconnects between admissions and the rest of the institution. So it's really amazing to see at NLU, you're truly collaborative, and that students will be supported from the time that they come in to the time that they graduate. So I'm not just saying that, but that was amazing to see that happen. So if you have questions, there's a bunch of questions already in the Ask a Question box, and we're gonna go through those. But if you have any additional ones, please use the chat, or you can ask them as we go through them. I was curious, actually, Pauline, you talked about, just for me personally, you talked about new scholarships for first-time freshmen. And so I'm curious, maybe you could talk about affordability. I know that was, obviously that's a huge thing for you all, but I'd love to hear about some of the newer financial aid opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. So NLU, really does take a look at affordability and try to meet the needs of our students. So our tuition is set to keep in line with Pell and MAP. So our current tuition is $10,755 per year. There's the slide there with fees. So students who receive a full amount of Pell and MAP can come to NLU fully covered. But we know that there's been a lot of concerns related to the pandemic, and not only concerns, but the issues that some of our prospective and current students are facing with family obligations. So NLU responded to that and created a variety of new scholarships this year for students. Some of those being the Future Educators Scholarship, which was for students who are looking to become a teacher. There's a scholarship for that. There's also the NLU Eagle Brotherhood Scholarship for our Black male identifying students, in response to really wanting to support students and see them, make that transition from high school to college and following through. We also do support undocumented students. I think there was a question in the chat about that. We really feel that we are a destination for students who are undocumented. We've been a longtime partner with the Dream US, and every year we're excited to see more and more students seeing NLU as an option to come to via the Dream US. We also have an internal scholarship called the NLU Eagle Dream Scholarship, which is for undocumented students. We feel that we create a safe space at NLU for undocumented students in a variety of ways. We have clubs, Dreamers United Club, but there's also training that happens like almost continually, where there's emails being shared of training, undocumented ally training that our staff members are encouraged to attend, but we really all passionately want to attend those trainings, so it's not something that we feel obligated to do, it's something that we want to do. So that's a quick overview of some of the scholarships that we're offering, just in a way to respond to kind of the needs of what students are feeling right now.
Okay. Thank you for answering that question. A question around, there's a question around, is there going to be a remote option for the fall? What do you imagine school will be looking like next fall?
Yeah, that is Aurora, please. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely something that the university is still considering. Every term we get updates that are official updates about whether we're going to be virtual or remote. The university is looking into offering virtual and remote as well, but we haven't made any official announcements because, of course, we always have to follow CDC guidance and see how things are going with the vaccine and everything. So we're not ready to make an official announcement, but we are exploring both options.
Okay.
I'll just I'll go off mute properly. I'll just add to that. We're also trying to include student voice in that decision. So the university is being very intentional of not only following local and national guidelines around what's happening, but also getting that temperature check from our students, and really trying to bring in student voice into that decision-making process too.
Okay. There was a lot of discussion around career. I guess maybe could you talk about what are your alumni doing right now? What are graduates doing?
So many exciting things. I was just pulling it up because I saw that question in the chat. We have a couple students at CPD. We have some that are at Metropolitan and Family Services, grad school. There's a lot of our students in grad school coming from education and deciding to pursue their master's. You know, we are constantly working with just so many different employers. We have a student with Lighthouse right now, a couple students here at NLU who decided that they loved it so much they were going to work with us. So they are doing just that. And some have gone back to CPS to continue to do the work and really aligning with education. So yes, we have a lot of graduates that are in the field, that are in grad school. And I think one thing I also want to share is, as an NLU alum, students and alumni always have access to career services. So they can come back and ask for feedback on their resume at any time, 5 years out, 10 years out, because we're staying current with NACE and NASPA and NACADA to ensure that we are, you know, doing and staying in line of what is happening right now in industry.
Thank you. Counselors are definitely thinking about their graduating seniors, but they're also thinking about next year's seniors, the rising, I guess, the juniors that are going to be rising seniors. What are some of the things? What are some engagement opportunities, or how should counselors be working with their juniors and engaging with NLU?
So I will speak from a career perspective, and I saw it in the chat. I tell my students more practice, right? I'm always like, students don't know, but really letting them explore, talking to them about what that means. You know, we talked this morning, Aurora and I's team, where students may feel insecure that maybe what they want to do doesn't really have a title, or they can't make money doing it. I'm like, look, if it's a passion, you can turn it into a dollar sign. I braided hair to get me through U of I. I went to U of I, and it's something that was a passion, and I made it work. So I'm always like constantly talking to our students about how they can practice, staying current, right? Like, you know, you want to be a social worker. Well, research more, read more about it, see what people are saying. So that's what I have from a career perspective.
I'd love to jump in a little bit from the coaching perspective, that one of the things we see a lot is lack of confidence in general, right? Students are not sure that they may be fit for certain career positions. Even when we're doing our internship pushes, some students are like, I don't know, am I qualified enough? And it's like, absolutely you are. So what can we be doing earlier on to build up some of that confidence, and know that students don't have to have defined careers when they're thinking about colleges? We're going to do a lot of that exploration work with them. They don't need to sweat all of that, but they should have, all right, what do I want in a college? What is the ideal environment for me? What do I want my classes to look like? Do I want small classes? Do I want a lot of attention? Do I want to have that coach near me and checking up on me? And I think a lot of those questions are really good exploration questions, but they don't have to answer all those bigger life questions, because how many of us here didn't even know we were going to get into higher ed or education before when we were in college? So we always like to emphasize it's okay to not know, because we're going to be here to help you explore.
And just to add on to that, from the enrollment perspective, you know, just really encouraging that college-bound identity in junior year, trying to develop further. You don't have to have everything filled out. Sometimes we see students who don't move forward with an application because they're undecided on their major. And so just encouraging that. And I'll add that our First Gen Club at National Louis is doing an event in April 14th at 6 p.m. It's a First Gen Table Talk, and it's our current NLU students who are first gen, and they're inviting any prospective, any high school student and their parents just to come and listen and to hear about college, and that it is still worth it. You should still be, you know, striving towards a college degree, a 4-year degree, and why that's important. So those are some of the, you know, opportunities, just letting your juniors know that come join us and just hear from current students.
I guess my last question, I guess the timely question. I'm married to a Chicago public school teacher. I've got 2 high school students at home. I'm thinking about next week's spring break in Chicago, CPS. What are some of the things that either students could do to engage during break, or counselors could do to engage their students next week with you all?
I love this question. I will say that we are in this virtual environment. we are happy to meet your students anytime they would like to meet with us. If the slides are still up, or we can drop this into chat, there is our online digital brochure, freshman.nl.edu. And within that, there's a contact slide that has all our Calendly links, right? And so if a student wants to schedule a one-on-one appointment with us for 15 minutes, half an hour, they want to schedule with us with their parents, we're happy to walk them through wherever they are in the enrollment timeline, whether that's like, hey, I just want to get to know something about NLU. I'd love to chat with the student. We can try and arrange that. I want to learn more about the psychology major. Maybe we can get you connected to a faculty member to speak with. We can help you walk through the application process. If you already have submitted your application and have your award letter, happy to walk through that with you as well. So we're really here for you, right? And we can engage with you virtually in any which way you would like. And again, those all of our Calendly links are listed online at freshman.nl.edu. Also within that is an events page, which has all of our curated experiences. So we do have open houses a couple of times a month. We also have student panels, so students can stop by and chat with our students and get to know them and ask them questions that they would like. So lots of different ways to engage with us. In Wheeling, we are doing some in-person appointments. For if anyone would like to go take a look at that campus and get a tour, they can schedule those one-on-ones available as well. And those are all listed on the Calendly, through the Calendly app on freshman.nl.edu.
Great. Yeah. Thank you all. It's been a wonderful presentation. Thank you all for taking the time. Thank you to our audience, our counselor community. Thank you for being here. Any other last words from anybody?
I did just want to check, just because I'm not super familiar with Crowdcast, but I did see a couple questions from the audience that we commented. Can the audience see those answers, or do we need to?
They can. Yeah, they can.
Perfect.
Making sure. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Aurora. Yeah, we'll be certain to send the presentation. We'll send the recording. Yeah, please. Any questions? We'll try to answer those in the future. Yeah, thank you all for being here. There is at the bottom, last plug, there's a link to the survey. Please, if you have a chance, take 30 seconds and complete the survey. Let us know what you thought. Let us know any other questions that you have. Yeah, and join us again next time. Really appreciate our community. We exist for you. Thanks for being here. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.